Until recently, Zoom was the noise that a racing car made. But since lockdown, Zoom's teleconferencing software has become a part of everyday life. We go to the gym on Zoom, we do church on Zoom, we have virtual coffee on Zoom, we even do pub quizzes on Zoom. For many of us, Zoom has been a lifeline during lockdown. For others, it's brought frustrations. Commentators have started talking about Zoom fatigue. How are we to view Zoom through the lens of the gospel? Well, earlier this week, I had a conversation with Cara Smith, our children's and families minister, and we chatted about Zoom.
Cara, thank you for being willing to do this. Just as we start, I wonder what you found helpful about Zoom in the last few weeks.
I guess, like many people, it's now the biggest way in which I communicate. I'm grateful for Zoom because it has meant that I've been able to be connected to people over the past few weeks that otherwise it'd be a telephone call or maybe a FaceTime. Yeah.
There was this BBC article talking about Zoom fatigue, and one of the things it highlighted is the performance aspect to it. There was a quote that a large video call is like watching TV, and TV is watching you. Have you ever felt like that?
Oh yeah. Or I hope this isn't just me. I guess it does say quite a lot about my personality. I think we all just become a bit more conscious that we're being watched. So staff meetings are a good example. I don't think I would ever really think about like what I'm wearing and what my hair would look like if I was going in person. But on Zoom, suddenly you're aware that there's a camera. So you're like, oh, is this all right? Does this look okay?
Yeah, there's even that button on the on Zoom, which is kind of like a touch up, so you can make yourself.
You should have told me that. I guess you're more aware of presenting an image because we're communicating through image. So
yeah,
become more aware of that as a mode of communication.
Yeah. And you've got a background in acting, haven't you? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Jesus talks in the Bible a couple of times about hypocrites and the kind of actors. In Matthew 23, Jesus says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within are full of dead people's bones and uncleanness." And he describes the Pharisees as hypocrites who are kind of acting, presenting a persona on the outside that isn't true on the inside. And I guess Zoom does kind of highlights that. Do you think that's true?
I think Zoom does play into that, doesn't it? I know I have the show-off gene. That's why I was acting. But I think there is an element of that in all of us, an inclination to present what is acceptable and nice and good, and hide anything that we perceive as negative. That's what Jesus is picking up on here. And I guess Zoom plays into that tendency that we all have of presenting one thing and being another thing.
In normal life anyway, we get well practiced at presenting a different persona, and it becomes second nature. I guess probably why we find Zoom tiring and fatiguing is we're having to come up with a new way of doing it, and think about new ways of projecting ourselves and those kind of things. So I wonder whether actually we're having to learn how to hide our sin in new ways, and that's exhausting for us. I don't know. Matthew 23, Jesus goes on to say, 37, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city who kills the prophets and stones those who sent it. How often I would have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings. In the sense that actually Jesus still welcomes us. He knows who we are deep down behind the Zoom persona we put up there, and he still loves us. And I guess that's massively liberating.
Yeah, completely. And that we struggle to believe that, don't we? anyway, and that's why we hide.
Yeah.
Because we think that there's no way he could ever accept us as we are, and yet he's so clear in the gospel that he knows what we're like. He's come for the sinner. He's paid for sin.
The other thing the article talked about was the idea of that Zoom depersonalizes us. How have you? So, what experience have you had of that kind of depersonalization of Zoom?
I think there's a couple of things. So, one, it's more of a practical thing. Actually, when I'm in a big group call, our prayer meeting is a good example of that. There are so many little screens, and I can't connect with everyone, and so people are reduced down to just a tiny little image. Though we've been in a prayer meeting together, I haven't connected with everybody in that prayer meeting. It's being separate. But also, and I guess because people are behind a screen, I've noticed that it's much easier for me to be shorter with my temper and with my use of words. I'm just not as careful as I would be. It's easy to be misunderstood. It's very easy to misunderstand and misinterpret things. And I just think part of that is I'm not picking up body language, I'm not picking up tone in the same way. But also I think there is a big thing about, actually, Matt, you're not physically in the room and it doesn't feel real, so I can say things to you and I don't actually see the consequences in the same way.
We sense that we spoke about this before, but we sense that in our own staff meetings, that where in the past, issues would have been raised and discussed and opinions shared. It's just it's harsher, isn't it? It's more brutal. And I guess that is the reality of our sin outside of a lockdown world. And I guess I don't know about you, but it keeps me longing for not only post-lockdown, but longing for the new creation where, sin will be done away with.
Oh, won't it be so nice to be able to relate to each other?
Yeah.
Without our sin getting in the way. It would be such a wonderful thing. To understand each other perfectly and to relate perfectly is such a wonderful thought right now. Yeah.
I keep going back to these final verses in Revelation. I guess they're becoming more and more precious to me, where John says that he heard a loud voice and saying, "Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. God himself will be with them as their God. Will wipe away every tear from their eye, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be any mourning or crying or pain anymore, for the former things have passed away." And I guess that it's that going back to what life was like in Eden, walking with God in the garden before sin came on, before the hiding game started, and the tension between God and us and one another, just longing for that hope. And it's wonderful, isn't it, that we do have a sure and certainty, not only that lockdown will end, but the sin that so distorts our kind of normal relationships kind of will end as well.
That is a wonderful picture, isn't it? And it is getting us, well, it's certainly getting me through the frustrations of not being with people physically, and also seeing in new ways the depth of my sin. And
Cara, thank you very much for being willing to do that. Cara's put together lots of useful materials for kids, but also I found it really encouraging myself. So do like and subscribe to the kids channel. And
thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.